Well, welcome everyone. This is Dr. Sally Good from Good Body, Good Brain, and you are listening to Good Body, Good Brain podcast. Today we have a special guest. He is Chip Charles Webster, and he's written a wonderful book, and he has a wonderful company called Unity and Service. And he has some great ideas of how America can get back on track. So let me turn this music down just a little bit. And welcome. So glad that you're here with us today.
Thank you, Sally. Good to be here.
Where are you actually physically located right now?
St. Pete, Florida.
Woo, great. Beautiful town.
Yeah, right on the water.
Yes. Is Aaron, did Aaron get you?
No, Aaron was up the other side. We just got hammered last year by Milton, and I can't remember the other name. There's so many.
Right, exactly. So tell me a little bit about what Unity and Service really is, the entity, and then also about your book.
Well, the whole purpose of Unity and Service is to bring to the attention of our fellow citizens that, one, our country is in trouble from the standpoint we're very divided. There's a lot of loneliness, and people are becoming more and more stuck in their silos. Allstate Insurance Company did a study on trust that's just out. I recommend people look it up. It's at an all-time low, and a democracy cannot work on low trust any more than any relationship can. And my objective is to enliven responsible citizens, usually moderate conservatives, moderate liberals, independents, who feel the same way I do, that we've become the ununited states of America. And the only way we can change it is us. The government's not going to change it. There's nobody coming in on a white horse to save us. The only people that can save us is us. And that means we as citizens need to get involved. You probably know these statistics, and I'll be plus or minus a few percentage points, but only 66% of the people voted in the last presidential election. In midterms, it's usually in the mid to low 40s. In local elections, it's in the teens and 20s. And democracy requires everybody getting involved. You hear people complaining about the government. I just did 5 years of traveling in my RV. We did basically 5 loops of the U.S., and you spend time in RV parks, you get to know people, and they'd be complaining, and I'd say, well, we're the problem. It's our fault. And they'd look at me like I have 2 heads. Last time I checked, democracy is a do-it-to-ourselves project. And so my whole objective is to enliven, to get people to be active in the community, vote, get involved in community activities, take the time and take the personal responsibility to think about who should I vote for, not who my radio podcaster tells me to vote for, with all due respect, but do my own research and look for people who put country ahead of party. Right now we are stuck in a gridlock of parties, which is what George Washington, quite frankly, warned us about 250 years ago, because party has become the power, and it's not about power, it's about our country.
Yes, I like the idea, first of all, that the U.S. actually spells us.
Yeah.
And when someone says to me, blah, blah, complaining, the first question I ask them is, did you vote? And usually the answer is, oh, I've never voted. Well, then you don't get to have a voice. Sorry.
Stop your whining. Yeah, and it's going to take, and this is a new endeavor for me, but it's going to take getting some momentum, some people, some, I'll call them investors, who are interested in helping to support my nonprofit, Unity and Service, to get the word out there. I'm working with some marketing companies right now trying to figure the best strategy. I wrote the book as a way to put in perspective what needs to happen and how we got here. If you think, we hear the word tribes, we've got tribes thrown around a lot. Well, tribalism is a normal part of the human experience.
Hmm.
Back in the old years, 200,000 or 300,000 years ago, if you weren't a member of a tribe, either another tribe would eat you, literally,
Or you'd
or
starve.
an animal that thought you might be good for dinner would take you out. So you had to be part of a tribe, and when you looked at your tribe, am I safer here? Am I going
Hmm.
to eat here? Am I going to help? But you also were required to help and be part of the solution. Right
Yes.
now, we have a lot of people that think it's everybody else's responsibility. No.
Yeah, you had to bring a skill set, even if it was just gathering twigs for the fire.
Yeah.
And
Right.
even and all the kids had to be able to do something too. They didn't just like
Exactly. And,
lollygag
yeah.
around and do nothing.
Right. Watch TV. Um, and if you didn't, a lot of the tribes, you were just sent out to the woods again.
Right, you didn't eat.
No, when I was a kid, growing up in California in Burbank at the time, we had an apricot tree. And my dad, I'm preschool here. My dad said, your job every day is to pick up the apricots that have fallen off the tree. So one day I kind of blew it off, not consciously, like I was just a little kid. And he came home and said, you didn't pick up the apricots? No worky, no eaty. Bed without dinner. That's,
Good lesson, wasn't it?
yeah, it's stuck in my life for over almost 80 years.
Mhm.
And,
Yes.
and it's true. It's the way the world works. And we have helped too many people feel like they're owed something without working for it. And that goes back to democracy. We are only going to have a democracy that's functional if we all participate.
Yes, and my dad taught me a good lesson too, is ask for what you want. I was very,
Right.
very shy as a like a young girl. Hard to imagine now, but very shy. And I was in the back of the car. I was the first. I was the only child for about 11 years. I was back there, and he said, my dad looked at me and said, "What do you want?" We were at the fruit stand, and so the owner of the fruit stand came over and stuck his head in and looked at me and said, "What can I get for you?" And I froze. I
Uh-huh.
was so frightened, not really of him, but I was just sort of frozen. I really wanted a piece of watermelon, but I was just sort of like frozen, couldn't ask for it. And
Yeah.
then my dad says to him, "I guess she doesn't want anything because she didn't speak up." And we drove away.
Good for him.
Yeah. And I never ever stopped speaking up after that.
What is the old thing? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. Hmm.
So, getting people to think about the responsibility as a citizen. I've written a chapter about that. I've listed things that we need to do to be a responsible citizen. My suggestion is read my chapter and then make your own list. Voting is number one, and I think that should be number one on everybody's list, as we talked about earlier. The second thing I talk about is getting involved in the community. This whole loneliness epidemic we have, this whole lack of trust, it comes from not interacting. Trust comes from doing something with others together for mutual good. We are pack animals, and the reason we're so mentally unhealthy, and I think it contributes to the obesity. I think it contributes to some of the mental illness that we're currently dealing with in this country. Go volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. I'm chairman of the board of an organization called Tampa Bay Watch, where we restore the bay. We create oyster reef balls, we plant seagrass, we educate people about the bay. And I go out and plant seagrass and do it with people that I know have different political views than I do. But by working together towards a common goal that's for the good for the community and for the country and for the world, those activities tend to dissolve the differences.
Right. And
And
food banks too. Food banks are
yeah,
really good places
yeah,
to get to know your
exactly,
community.
exactly. And I started a thing called Keepers of the Flame 23 years ago for Vistage chairs from around the world who come once a year to Boulder. And we're very diverse politically, but there's just a wonderful connection and respect for each other. We're there for each other. It's been such a great lesson for me.
The idea of civility being less current, and this is a problem that human resource people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis in corporate America. And one of my colleagues is helping to put together a program, a movement to help infuse kindness back into corporate America. And there's going to be a pretty big trickle down from corporate America to other institutions. We're just going to tackle one at a time, get that rolling. And I think if we can get something going with this, and it becomes actually international, it's needed all over the world. It's not just us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every human.
Running Vistage groups for a number of years and then running Vistage Florida, I can remember as a chair, you get to know the members really well and you meet once a month in a group and they help each other not only in their business, but ends up in life, dealing with kids, dealing with divorces, dealing with all the things we have as humans. But the ripple effect, I mean, I had more than one spouse come to me and say, my husband is or my wife is a different person because of her involvement or his involvement in Vistage. And then in the companies, I had people say, we're better because of this. Well, what you're doing with that civility campaign will have a ripple effect. It's not just in the company, but hopefully the parent will go home a little less cranky, be less cranky with the kids,
with the children, won't kick the dog,
right? And be a role model at home and in the community of civility. I think that's a wonderful program.
Yes, and mostly HR people, agile leaders, all people who are like team leaders have been talking about this for a while because they know they need to make the shift. And so it seems like the timing is right now. People are very open to hearing about it.
I think you're spot on. And one of the things that leaders have a responsibility to do is rid the company of what I call cultural terrorists. There are people in companies that no matter what you do, they're going to be a cultural terrorist. I was running an independent phone book company back in the early 80s, publishing phone books in small towns in Georgia, and had a sales team. And my number one salesman turned out to be a cultural terrorist. And I had to let him go because he was hurting everybody else. And I thought, I'm letting the number one guy go. Sales are going to go down, but it's the right thing to do long term. Sales went up.
Of course.
Because the people felt better. They didn't have some guy telling them how bad they were.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think being, I'm sure you've heard this before, culture eats strategy every time. It's true in companies. It's true in families. And it's true in the United States of America across the country. Do you know the poet David White, perchance?
I've heard of him, but I'm not I don't have any books here.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite poets. He's the one that got me to write poetry. He always say the quality of the conversations determines the quality of the relationship.
Yes, and we're back to trust again, because if you don't have trust within your team, and all these things are really trust building sort of activities. If you don't have trust within your team, you don't know who your team members are. Even like a simple thing like, do they have any children? Are they a single parent? All these things are so important because we're humans first, we're employees second.
Yes. And as a nation, we're not having a conversation, we're having a food fight. And I guess if you could say what my ultimate goal is to get back to having a conversation. We need diversity of thought.
Oh, totally. In fact, I like to stir it up every now and then.
Yeah. So, those are the community activities, the things we can do. But also, my belief is, in looking at countries around the world, there's over 60 countries in the world that have mandatory military service. I think we should have mandatory civilian service, and people want to go in the military, that would count. But I think you turn 18, you graduate from high school, and you spend a year doing, if you remember the old CC, Civilian Conservation Corps that was Roosevelt instituted during the Depression, that would
So
break
with
down
the
barriers.
WPA.
WPA, yes, yes, that
Yes.
was another of those programs that were very effective,
Mhm.
and it helped break down barriers. And I believe if you're from Texas, you should go to New York. If you're from New York, you should go to North Dakota. Pick your to learn that these people we're all the same at the end of the day. We all want the
Yes.
same basic thing.
We all want the same basic things. We want to be loved. We want to be able to love. We want to be able to participate, be seen, be heard, feel like somebody values us somewhere.
Yes, exactly right. And I believe that would be the biggest thing we could do to break down these barriers long term for the health of our country. There's a lot of people that think we're in the last days of our democracy because of this internal strife, because of the internet, because of the debt that we've built up, which goes back to who did we elect?
Mm-hmm.
I'll read a quote that I just love about democracy. Remember one thing about democracy: we can have anything we want. And at the same time, we always end up with exactly what we deserve. True in life too. But
Yes, and there was a time period. Oh, a good 30 years ago, there was a AmeriCorps, which
Mhm.
you could actually sign up, and they would take. There was some way that they would take something off of your tuition if you were going to school. It was sort of like pay for work, do work but
Mhm.
not get paid, but then it comes off of your
Right,
tuition,
right.
and several people signed up. I think that would be a really fabulous thing. Uh,
AmeriCorps still exists. I don't know what they give them,
huh.
but the um, the concept is solid. The challenge that I have with AmeriCorps and other ones like that is only 0.5% of the people are involved,
Hmm.
and we need it, quite frankly, to be 100%. Because if 10 years later uh, you've gone through this program for a year, you're out, and you start talking to somebody, one of the questions you ask, where did you serve your year?
Hmm.
That's
Yes. Where did you serve?
a common experience.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and it could be like you get a menu, but you'd have to serve 1 year somewhere.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I believe, having traveled, every state's different, but the amount of litter along the roads is disgusting across this country.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if they spent 1 week every year or 2 weeks, whatever it is, out recycling everything that's along the highways, we would have less litter in this country in 5 or 6 years, period.
Yes, and if you travel abroad, um, there are places where it is extremely there's a extreme penalty for people who litter. I mean, I'm talking jail time.
Culture.
Consequently, the places around are beautiful.
Isn't
I
that amazing?
If you go to Netherlands or Japan or any places like that, you don't see people would never think of throwing a cigarette butt down on the grass or anything like that because they have a sense of pride. They also know if somebody saw them, it would not be a good thing.
I can't remember what general it was. An Air Force general said nobody ever washed and rent a car. And I think a lot of people
That's
think
so
they're
good.
renting this country.
Yes.
They're just passing through. I write a
Hmm.
little bit about that in the book. That
Hmm.
there's the people that want to leave it better than they found it. There's the people who just don't care, and there's people who are going to take everything they can and don't give a rip about anybody else.
Right. We used to when we would have a like brand new Section 8 housing that would be beautiful. Um, 3 4 years later, no screens on the windows, just complete distress. That is not to diss the people who really need Section 8, particularly elderly people, people who are disabled. But there is a part of our society that, just as you said, they're going to take more than they give.
Yeah, yeah, and we get the behavior we tolerate. If you look at growing up in California and watching what's happened out there, when we went through you can steal up to $1,000 without getting in
Hmm.
trouble.
Right.
What did you think was going to happen? It's like, what is it? There's no freedom without responsibility.
Yes. And I do like when Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York, and he had the no broken window policy.
Yeah,
When there was a tenement and all the windows were broken, people wanted to break more windows. It looked terrible. People would move in. It would be like catch as catch can, drug users, etc. And
right.
so he went on a campaign, and it made a huge difference. You wouldn't think that a broken window would make a big deal, but it does.
Well, it's like litter in California on our trip, and I remember California was the Golden State.
Hmm.
Um, we'd stop at a rest area, and there would be a sign, $1,000 fine for littering, and there would be trash up to the
All
sign,
around the sign.
all around the sign.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture? So yeah, it's getting us out of our silos, getting us to trust each other, taking responsibility as a citizen. Here's what I need to do. Here's what my responsibilities are, and then doing them is what I'm after. And I think that we have to break down this situation where that you have to work on, which is the civility. Um, we need to be civil to each other. I wrote a poem that I'm going to share, if I may.
Of course.
It's called Micro-Validations. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. English proverb. Microclimates, microbiomes, microaggressions. We live in a microclimate. Microbiomes live in us. Microaggressions are part of life. What we need more of are micro-validations, more micro-affirmations. We've become trapped in our silos. We've become contemptuous of those who don't agree with us. They must not be human. Our country, our cities, our friends have become divided. We can't keep distancing ourselves from each other. We must all hang together, or most assuredly, we will hang separately. Benjamin Franklin. Our children, our grandchildren need us to hang together for their future. A healthy democracy requires its citizens to work together to remain free. We need to see our interdependence and break down the barriers that divide us. We need each other. Start with micro-validations. Open the door for someone and say hello. Talk to your neighbor. Look people in the eye and acknowledge that they exist. Reconnect with each other. Affirm the humanness of everyone.
Yes, looking at somebody in the eye who's a total stranger and smiling at them is so disarming. People don't know what to think. Here in Texas, we're a little bit acclimated to that. We do this kind of thing all the time. I haven't traveled much out of Texas in probably the last 10 or 15 years, but we're populated by a lot of ethnicities, Germans, Czechs, Polish. The list goes on and on and on. And of course, our neighbors to the south, we're like 3rd and 4th generation of people who came from Mexico.
Sure.
And they're truly Tex-Mex, as now they don't even speak their language of years ago. The kids can't understand their parents, which the parents are grateful for. But I think you lose part of your heritage if you don't also know the language that was your birthright back in the day.
It's funny. I walk wherever we go, and my wife is from Minnesota, a little town Alexandria, and we stopped there on one of our loops, and it was the classic Minnesota nice. Everybody was so friendly and deferred. In fact, we were trying to cross the street where we had a stop sign and they didn't, and they actually stopped and waved us across. I mean, that's. Then I walk a lot in Chula Vista, which is in California, south of San Diego, on a trail along the bay, and people just, they turn, they won't look at you. But I go through different days. Today I'm going to say hi to everybody no matter what. Some days I do nothing. And on the hi to everybody, about every 3rd or 4th person, it's like you flipped a switch. They turn at you, smile, or hey, someone sees me. I'm a human being. And that's part of this national trust.
Yes.
If you can't look somebody in the eye and acknowledge their humanness, how in the heck are we going to work together to create a better democracy and a better city and a better life if we don't trust each other and can't even acknowledge each other's humanness?
Yeah, I was in the line. I just stopped to get like some refreshment to kind of wet my whistle, and I was standing in line, and this guy had a lot of things. I said, well, "Sir, you just go ahead. I'm in no
Right.
timeline. I'm just fine." And he said, "Oh, well, thank you so much." And I turned around and gave him a big smile, and he paid for his thing. And then when I went up to pay for mine, the woman said, "Hey, he's already paid for you."
Love it. That's what a great story.
Yeah, and he was already gone, or else I would have
Yeah.
thanked him, gone to thank him. But
Right. I've been known to go into restaurants where I see people in military uniforms and anonymously pay for
yes,
their
I
meal.
secretly do it for policemen.
Oh, great idea. Good for you. Just random acts of kindness that will change lives. I mean, think about, I don't know about you, but I have created a list of 100 people in my life that have opened the door for me one way
Mm.
or another, and just give gratitude. And sometimes it was just a simple suggestion, and sometimes it was a major shift in my life. And I think that's what we need to do for each other.
Oh, the 100. I love that idea of the 100 people. I have the idea of the 100 people for several of my friends who want to connect with people about a certain thing. You know,
Hmm.
but you're talking about 100 people who've actually made a difference in your life in various levels. I think that would be great for everyone to have the journal of 100 people
Yeah,
where
it's a good. Hmm.
and when they got older, they could sit back and say, "Oh yeah, that guy was so great. He gave me this and whatever," and you just re-experience the goodness it felt in you when it happened.
Yes, absolutely. And it's gratitude. I think people who have gratitude are much happier than the people who don't. But
Well,
you're
there's
you're,
lots of
you're the
neuroscientific evidence to
yeah,
that. We create new pathways in our brain.
yeah. And I'm sure you've seen the study, and this is sort of the underlying thing for all of unity and service. I'm sure you've seen the study at Harvard that's been going on since the 30s, that JFK was part of the first cohort of people. Longevity, what are the keys? Is it money? Is it position? No, it's friends,
It's socialization.
it's socialization.
Mhm.
And that's much a part of what this, at the bottom line of unity and service is socialization.
Yes, and we got really hammered during COVID
Yeah,
because we didn't know what we were doing. We had no
right.
protocols. We were so afraid. And nursing homes actually shut down to family members, and eventually they shut down to providers like myself. And during that time period for over a year, I I didn't see, but I heard through the obituaries of little grannies who didn't have any support, and they languished.
Yeah.
And
That's
that will never happen again here. There actually we have laws in place that
yeah,
prevent that from ever happening.
crazy. Humans.
And so now it's like, oh, would you rather have COVID or the flu? I take COVID any day.
Well, this, we expect everybody to know everything, and
Hmm.
our government to know everything. They don't. They're human. They're just trying to feel their way along. And I think some of the people in the government were trying to do the right thing, and I think some of the people in the government were trying to figure out how do I manipulate this to my advantage politically, which is sad.
Hmm.
Um, but we are where we are. And here's the thing that I write in my book: we spend too much time trying to fix the past. We cannot
Yes.
unbury Wounded Knee. We can
Hmm.
undo slavery. We can undo Jim Crow. We can learn from it and go forward more enlightened. Was it, I forget who said, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it?
Yes.
Um, we need to look back. And when we tear down all these statues of the past that remind us of our past, goods and bad, um, we lose touch with what went on, and we're not going to learn.
Yes. And if there was one thing that happened probably on the positive side from COVID, it was that we can talk like this on Zoom or
Yeah.
on multiple platforms to people all over the world
Yes.
and feel very connected to them.
Yes.
And so that's the thing that we can do easily now. It's sort of like it doesn't matter to me whether you're like in Cyprus or Gibraltar or any other place. And I have friends there that I've never met, but I call them my friend because we connect, we talk, we have mutual interest, we share
Mhm.
different things with each other, especially about business and possibilities in business,
Mhm.
and it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
I
plane ticket
still,
involved.
yeah, I think it builds trust to a
Mhm.
90% level.
Uh-huh.
To get to 100%, you got to be together, working on a project, and knowing whether Sally will show up on time, where
Mhm.
Sally's stand holding the shovel, talking to
Yes.
the other person while the rest of us are digging. But you're
Mhm.
right; it has broken down barriers significantly.
Yes, my branding coach, who is in Hacienda Heights in
Yeah.
California,
Yeah.
uh, he likes to invite people to come out for a meal. He's a gourmet cook, and they have like 3 or 4 hour session of working on strategy and branding and whatever. Then he cooks a meal, and everybody sits down and has a lovely time together. And I think when you can do that for another human, it's just a wonderful experience. It's sort of like somebody really cares enough to do those things just for you.
Yes. That's wonderful. I love that. They'd have to eat scrambled eggs if they came and I was cooking. That's all I can cook.
Well, scrambled eggs are pretty darn good when you throw in a couple of veggies, and there you
That's
go.
right.
Scrambled
Right.
omelet.
Yeah.
As long as you can
Absolutely.
make toast, it works.
Done.
So if you were to come up with just a couple of things that say tomorrow, what could we do tomorrow besides being micro affirming? What could we do tomorrow to sort of get this ball rolling here?
You're talking about on an individual or us?
Well, as an
As an
individual, anybody
individual?
listening to this podcast, what
Okay.
can you do tomorrow?
Well, get off the couch and go outside and go get involved with a program. Yeah, turn off the phone. You know who Bo Jackson is? Football
Yes.
player.
Hmm.
I saw him interviewed. He's mentoring young people now. It was a very interesting interview. And the interviewer said, "Well, what's the criteria? How do you pick somebody?" Well, the first thing you have to do is get off the couch. So get off the couch, just go outside and volunteer with something. At the hospital, at the church, but be with people that are different than you. And then sit down and write a list of what what do I need to do to be a responsible citizen, and how am I going to live to that in my daily life. And the last thing would be just open the door for somebody, say hello, a micro
Yeah,
validation.
a micro validation. Let them have that parking spot. There's
Yeah,
another one over there. It's not. You
right,
don't have. It's not a competition.
right, right.
Well, I do really like your idea of when you reach 18 that you do something to give back in on some level.
Mhm.
I do really sort of honor and appreciate the men and women who are in Israel who are really warriors. There's many of our youth who wouldn't want to go to that extreme, but we've never been in that circumstance. But we can do things. We can do things for each other that really make a difference in our world and in our nation.
Absolutely. And working together just dissolves those differences and bonds us. It's about bonding and building that trust.
And also, too, when you think about that, the idea of like sort of sharing, like, oh, I've got to go to Vermont. I have no idea about Vermont. They even talk different up there, right?
Yeah,
So,
good.
so you learn a new thing.
I think I would be interested in your thought. I learn more in travel than any other medium.
Oh, it's a great education. I think
Yeah,
travel, both here and abroad, is one of the best educations there is.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It has been so delightful. Um,
Thank you,
I'm
Sally.
hoping that as you proceed finding your angel investors and you get the ball rolling, that you'll come back and you'll tell us about
Absolutely.
your progress, because it's a vital, vital thing that you're doing. And I'm hoping that people will listen to this, and in the notes will be ways for you to both get your book and also ways for them to contact you, and that they would take the time to either email you, or I love it when people pick up the phone.
Yeah.
That's like a biggie.
See,
And
I do have a website, unityandservice.org,
okay, great.
that they can go to,
Hmm.
and then through that they can email me and look at what our strategy is, what we're trying to
Hmm.
accomplish.
Well, that's easy peasy. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you were able to come here all the way from St. Pete's, Florida, and that Aaron didn't get you. And
Right.
this has been so delightful. And Chip, just thank you so much for the effort that you're doing. It's super vital, and it's going to create a legacy in many, many ways, not just for you, but the people who are helping you as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
God bless. Take care.
Take
We'll
care.
see you next time.
You bet. Bye.